I've seen a lot of questions online whether or not regarding to the Vizzy Pop scandal and whether or not you actually is it okay, like people have been worrying about, oh, is it okay if I actually support the creator like this to work, which yeah you can, but there's an issue regarding that type of level of, what I'm trying to say is it's a type of issue that no one's really addressing. The fact that Vizzy Pop has such a hold on her own creations that it's physically impossible to separate art from the artist. In certain situations, yes, you can, but in situations like Vizzy Pop's, it's literally impossible to separate something from someone like her. She spent years worth of creating, characters and basically giving us, Alistair, who's totally not a ripoff of a certain fictional character from Disney, while also giving us Angel Dust as well. She has such a high love for her characters that it's hard for you to separate something from her, especially if you're actively trying to separate something from her. It's somewhat associated with it, tainted or sullied even. You can't really enjoy most things without having people harass you, which I understand for people's actual, experiences. The problem is, I think it's mainly because voice actors and all the like have such. It's very people are very obsessed with the show. They're not gonna basically let go of something as serious as Vizzy Pop hate, but that's good because at least you like something, and I'm not faulting you for it. But the problem is, how can you separate a work from someone who's actively been, engaging in bad stuff? Essentially, people have agreed that you can't separate art from the artist if the artist has, actively worked on it to the extent of for years now. Vizzy Pop's been working on this shit for years, and I only say that it's hard for you to separate it from because she's been working on that shit for years, her entire life, 4 years, and most of the characters are from her old projects moved on. Some characters were even from her time as, from the time in Zoophobia, so of course she's gonna have such an attachment to it. And the thing is, she's so what I'm trying to say is no, you can't like enjoy her creations without associating with her because it's fucking impossible. You're asking me to actually associate something from her, but like I do like the series, but not like to an extent that I'm willing to defend it. What I'm trying to say is you can't not associate. You cannot associate. There's no fucking way. There's no way I can tell you that you can't not associate with her work, because her work is literally impossible to disassociate from, because it's unique in a way that it makes it to where her work is so good, so fucking wonderful that it's literally nearly half impossible for you to dissociate your art from the artist. The term disassociating, or at least term using to differentiate artist from an artist, is just stupid, because especially when I don't know how to put into words on how you're able to dissociate and differentiate art from the artist, because Vizzy Pop has such a presence in her own fandom that it's physically impossible to separate something from her. I'm sorry. I mean, I get where everyone's going from, but like nearly half a dozen people have fucking fled this community and made their own communities or own series that isn't related to Hazard Hotel because they don't want to support her or her beliefs or whatever she does. And saying that, oh, you can support someone without enjoying, you can support the creation without supporting the creator is bullshit, especially if it's like someone that does bad acts. I mean, take a look at the Sonic.exe situation. Many people have not supported JC the Hyena after what he did, and new shit came from it. But the problem is, what I'm trying to say is, no. I don't think you can actually separate it from it if they have like a high presence in their own creation. If that were the case, then many creators that have done bad things wouldn't have, had their fan bases revoked or access revoked. So in a way, I think that the whole you have to separate art from the artist argument is stupid, because what we're gonna do years from now when the actual situation gets out of hand and Vizzy Pop does get worse than she is now? Are we gonna still maintain that same argument of separating art from the artist when she is so damn involved in her own community that you can't separate shit from the creator? I mean, at one point, do we stop to realize that what we're doing is very stupid and childish and ignorant? I mean, I'm not saying you can't enjoy Hazen Hotel. I'm just saying it's going to be physically impossible for me to separate something from someone that's been associated and had been at the face of the community. It's like how people say, oh, I'm not going to use Twitter because it's associated with Elon Musk now. And people still use it. So no matter what you say, people are going to still support the creator and support it. So honestly, I don't know what's your point of, can we just separate the art from the artist if people are going to support the artist regardless? That mentality must have worked years ago with Shadman, but now it doesn't work nowadays. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you can't enjoy the show. I mean, by all means, be my guest. If you want to rot your brain with Gen Z humor that doesn't even make sense. You know, the basis of what I'm trying to say is Hazbin Hotel was written for middle schoolers, not written for adults in mind. I mean, people always say that the humor is very funny, but it's not. It's the same way for, it has the same energy as Teen Titans Go humor, relying heavily on gross out humor, or even something offensive because it has nothing going for it. It's trying to make its own identity, yet failing as well. The only identity it seems to have is consistent with the identity that other people have given it. And by that, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Allegedly, the Ken Draws situation. They've contributed heavily to the idea of the pilot, which, by the way, sadly, I don't think Ken has any legal representation unless they actually can prove that they worked for Vizzy Pop. I think they did work for Vizzy Pop, but I'm not sure. If they did, then they can actually sue her. The problem is that Vizzy Pop always seemed to have this problem where she's like, oh, she thinks that, I mean, it comes to the point where you're like, oh, but if you could do that, then by all means, sue me. Like, I don't know. She has that energy of if you have that. I mean, she has that sort of energy where she's like, oh, if you have that energy, I don't know. She has an energy that surrounds her where she's just. But that's not what I'm trying to talk about. I'm talking about how the fact that people are out here trying to say, oh, well, I can still like it without forgetting that she's been involved in her project for so long. It becomes physically impossible to separate something as, as important or as, very, very meaningful and impactful to some. I don't see how that's meaningful or impactful to someone as Vizzy Pop. I mean, you feel free to actually enjoy whatever makes you happy, but being warned that it's not going to actually work out long term, and eventually you're going to have to realize that, well, it's going to be hard for me to actually support someone like this because I mean, I get it. You don't want to let go of something that you love, and it's hard to let something go. But even then, the basics, what I'm trying to say is, the schematics, what I'm trying to say is that forever, the work that's been tainted by its creator often is hard to, ignore, especially if the creator has done something bad. In the events of the creation of Ren and Stimpy, the creator, I forgot his name, but yeah, it's hard to associate it. But Vizzy Pop didn't do anything bad, other than do a lot of fucking fucked up shit that isn't constituted as bad. I mean, it's not as bad as what these Hollywood actors did, but it's still constituted as far worse when it comes to criticism and fan interactions. She feeds into the parasocial relationships of the fan base and actually allows the voice actors to speak on terms for her when she didn't have this much grace for the pilot voice actors. I don't know about you, but I can't support work for a creator that actually encourages harassments against people who have good faith criticism. I mean, I get it. Blocking people for your own mental health is top priority, but if somebody is out here blocking people who actually are nice in their criticisms, that sets off a bad precedent for everything, especially when your fan base is known to attack people at will. I mean, at this point, if something does bad happen to her, then it was on her for not actually doing the proper steps to actually encourage better interactions with their fan base. I mean, I can't have pity for someone who's out here allowing her fan base to fucking police other people, tone police them, make other victims feel invalidated. Oh, I'm not talking about just Vizzy Pop. I'm talking about her entire fandom. They can hate me all they want, but the problem is I'm not the one. At the end of the day, I'm not losing sleep over meaningful things such as a hell show getting so much hate. I mean, we come here for an actual storyline, not some drama or fan fiction that's animated. If you want to animate your fan fiction, you could just publish that shit up on YouTube, not make it into actual work of art via I mean, yeah, we got Vizzy Pop's fan fiction now available as a TV show. I'm talking about Hazin Hotel. It's fan fiction as well, because it exists in the Bible fan fiction. And regarding my last criticism video, like, not my recent one, but the one where I compared to Steven Universe, y'all are just salty that I came to that conclusion on my own. I mean, sure, it's jarring to say that it sucks, but, like, compared to Steven Universe, Hazin Hotel has nothing going for itself. It has become its identity as Steven Universe. I mean, Joey Barr makes videos about both shows' franchises and makes fun of them, so it's obvious to see where all the comparisons coming from. The only thing that Steven Universe has that Hazin Hotel will have is actually a diverse narrative of characters. And I dare you to tell me in a comment section so I could pin the shame that it's not like Steven Universe. Explain beyond the redemption and everything else beyond how it's in hell. Explain something. Use something unique. Stop using the same old drone responses of, it's because this is what the same responses that you get. If you fail to actually come up with an actual compelling argument in the comment section, then I'm afraid I'm gonna have to not change my mind, because the thing is with these the fan bases, that they come up with such great arguments, the arguments that rival my very existence. Most of the time, the arguments are so dumb that it's ludicrously stupid and lukewarmly stupid that you're just gonna have to help but understand that, they're just people that have feelings at the end of the day. But, like, how can I just don't know. It's so stupid. And let me just point out that most of the time, you guys actually, if you know what part of the fandom I'm talking about, if you don't know, then this doesn't apply to you. But most of you guys tend to actually use conveniently make up headcanons to explain away the plot holes, which is good that you're creative like that, but the creativity isn't canon, so you can't really explain that. Fan creations aren't canon. Your ideas aren't canon, but if they do, just let them know that Vizzy Pop stole that from you, and you don't, and it's not because she actually reads your theories and confirms them. It's just her way of saying, oh yeah, this is canon because I say so. The thing is, she's abusing her fan base in order to exploit them more and use their ideas without paying them. Because, I mean, there's many people that used to work for her that actually were fans of her work, and they've experienced terrible things while working for her. So I guess her way of, interacting with her fan base without paying them or getting them a job is basically stalking any forum that has ideas. I'm pretty sure she's stalking the Kiwi Farms forum, because, I mean, she did make a post regarding the terrible comics Wika, It was a dig at it, so I guess she definitely does watch this shit. So if any kiwi farmers or onion farmers or whatever people actually are watching this, I don't know. I have some weird people watching me. Then let me just tell you that there's a chance that you 4chaners or Wika farmers are actually getting their ideas stolen. So that's that. The reason why I say ideas are stolen is because she has a history of doing that. I remember specifically. I mean, the whole point of the, oh yeah, every single fan theory is true and it would be appearing is just her damage control, basically saying, oh yeah, she's basically claiming those ideas as true when it's obviously not. Because she probably didn't know where she's going to go because she pulled the Steven Universe trick too early. And that doesn't work. Wonder if Vizzy Pop actually... Because it's not a coincidence that she got someone who worked on Steven Universe to actually work for her character. And I'm pretty sure she uses most of the... has most of the characters that... the creators voice the characters put on a single voice. Like a certain voice for these characters, because she really wants to be the next, Rebecca Sugar or the next Broadway star, creator or actor, whatever. Like, it's ridiculous. Some people pointed out that Voggy's voice sounds like Rosa from Parks and Recreation or Brooklyn 99. Yeah, Brooklyn 99. Sorry. Brooklyn 99 rather than Voggy herself. I mean, at this point, I'm going to have to argue the fact that the world building is bad because, one, most of the characters in the series have a set, race, right? You expect them to have a set race because they're from different terms, different worlds. They're from different time periods. But the problem is that the races that we got are technically not good races, and most of the time it doesn't fucking make sense or mesh well. When it comes to actually, what I'm trying to say is that the fucking race argument for Hazbin Hotel falls flat when you realize that most of the time the race doesn't matter, and most of the time the race that we do get doesn't match up with the race that we got. For instance, if I was trying to be honest with you, Vizzy Pop said that certain characters have, I'm trying to say this with very, an astute observation here. Many characters actually, have actually, I don't know how to say this, honestly, to put it in terms without it sounding wrong, but I think many of the problem is with Hazbin Hotel is that it relies heavily. Many of the, I just don't know how to say this, but like, I'm trying to think of it. Most of the characters are, they have races, but in their actual original source where they come from, they're not supposed to have races. For starters, the angels, well, at least Emily and Sarah, they're not supposed to have races. They're not supposed to, theoretically speaking, and I spoke in my second video rant on Vizzy Pop, I explained that they shouldn't have races because, quite frankly, they're spirits, and somebody of the Catholic religion of Catholicism stated that they're spirits, so they wouldn't have it. Then people argue, then they try to argue, like, they think, the thing is that Vizzy Pop thinks she's a master at theology when she's just a fraud at theology. You went to school for a couple of times regarding, you went to classes or school for religion. You didn't study the religion your whole life. You weren't born into the religion. I mean, sure, you can actually actively learn a religion and actually get, understand them, but the problem is she did not actually put the effort in requiring of actually looking it up. I'm a mixture of atheism and agnostic because I believe in certain other things. It's a custom religion that I'm not, it's a closed religion, I get it. It's wild having a closed religion, but still. It's just that she tries to incorporate ideas that she wants in order for you to call her a fucking genius and stroke her fucking woman dick, because who would have thought that most ideas of hers were actually thought of before? Busy Pop's a fucking genius. Everyone fucking praise her immediately right now. I'm speaking from experience because, quite frankly, praising a woman actually gets their job done. No, praising only brings more issues than actually giving her. It fills an ego, a sense of like, okay, I did everything I can. I did everything. At this rate, let's just fucking do this. Like, it tells you that it tells her that, oh, she can give more shit and not do anything in return. Basically, you're basically giving her the okay to continue being the worst person ever. To also you're basically telling her this is what you want, but it's not what we want. We want good storytelling. We want actual things worth it. But now all we get were empty promises and empty ideas of what a story should be. Even when the fan base is given an inch to actually improve, or at least take in consideration for actual criticism, the fan base doesn't do that. No, even in the face of actual people with actual ideas on how stories should go, their immediate reaction is to harass that person and call them, tell them that they're not actually valid or whatever. To tell them that their ideas are stupid, or at least tell them that they're just invalid because that's not how it works, or something like that. What I'm trying to say is that they're not considerate of actual people with degrees in writing, compared to someone who barely probably acts like she hasn't actually picked up a pen in her entire life, or actually went to English class. Compared to me, the reason why I say such harsh things is because I'm a believer of harsh criticism, as long as it's not too harsh, like telling that person that they're a piece of shit and they should go die type criticism. I'm just telling her that it's easy for people to criticize you based off of what you do, but it's up to you how you decide to respond to said criticism. If you're going to respond to, oh, all criticism is bad, then you're proving people that you can't handle the criticism, even if it's good or not. By ignoring actual plot points and actual concerns regarding your work, you're leaving room for people to continue to criticize your work and allege you of things. There are certain things that I'm aware that people have said about Fizzy Pop that has been confirmed as false, such as apparently allegedly her throwing a fit about Zootopia stealing from her. I don't know about that, but like if that's true, and if it's not, but as far as I know, it's false. But if that was true, then that was really autistic and that's stupid. I mean, considering if that was true that she cried about copyright infringement, she should be glad that Disney hasn't actually seen what Alistair is, because quite frankly, Alistair is allegedly a stolen from another character. I don't know who yet. Probably will make an update video. I know I said that I'm not gonna make any more Fizzy Pop videos, but seriously, this woman is easy to just study. Like, she's her own brand of Christery that you need to study. Not saying that you should troll her, no. I mean, she gets that shit already on the day-to-day basis. This woman gets trolled all fucking day. By the Kiwi farmers, by the 4chaners, by literally everyone in her goddamn life. I mean, I bet most of the voice actors that work with her don't even like her. I mean, allegedly Brandon Rogers is at his breaking point with the whole Stolist thing, I think, and I'm pretty sure sooner or later he's gonna fucking snap and leave the production crew, or at least leave his role as Blitzo. And if he does, good for him. He may be but people always complain that he's controversial, but like the difference between him and Fizzy Pop is he doesn't hide it. He's actively controversial, proudly controversial. He has all the controversial shit, and I thinking that basically saying Brandon Rogers is controversial is like saying water is wet. The dude's openly admitting to that he's controversial. It's not like he's trying to hide it. I mean, sure, I'm all for like getting offended at stupid jokes, but like at this rate, who isn't? It's just the only remains of whatever Shane Dawson humor that was plaguing the internet in the early 2000s, or even Smosh humor. He's the only YouTuber, in my opinion, that hasn't done anything worthy that's racist like blackface, as far as I know. So I don't know why people hate him. I guess because of the offensive humor he does. But like most of the time, people tend to also hate people for racist humor because, quite frankly, racist humor is disgusting. But turn around and support shit like, I don't know, South Park. I don't know. Before you say, oh, but South Park is just like Hazin Hotel, if you ever compare Hazin Hotel to South Park, I'm gonna fucking beat you up. These two are completely different from one another. One actually has writers and not ghost writers writing for them. They actually know what humor is. They don't rely overly on sex jokes. Sometimes they actually deal with serious topics without actually making fun of it. I mean, there was an instance of this when it came with image issues in Photoshop. And of course, Stan's depression, having realistic depression instead of a guy who makes ducks 24/7. And you're probably wondering, why are you complaining about the depression in Hazin Hotel? It's not a big deal. I mean, it's literally the entirety of Alistair's boyfriend's character at this rate. That's all he is a depressed twink who literally got in trouble, and now he's atoning for his sins, and now the show is basically telling you that depressed people can escape criticism if they actually. I feel like the problem is that the show is depicting us depressed people as lazy, or rather, depressed, and we're using it to, excuse our behavior. I mean, there's a lot of people that do it, but not all of us do it, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like it's just an insult to us that suffers from the actual ailment, rather than provide actual commentary or actual things regarding it, because all it serves to do is show that Alistair's just another offensive character meant to make, not Alistair, what Lucifer is another offensive character to make fun of, rather than an actual person of interest. I mean, I already get talks and insults on the daily from people who don't know what depression is and think it's some sort of mental illness. And the fan base do make funny jokes regarding it. I mean, it's the same with the whatchamacallit? The Doki Doki Literature Club community when it comes to Sayori's suicide and depression. They make fun of it. But sometimes I don't think that many people are actually joking because it sounds very hurtful. I mean, probably because the illness that I'm suffering from is very serious and near and dear to me. And I feel like many people just don't understand that making fun of sensitive topics or even bringing them to light is a bad idea. Unless you actually do have the issue yourself, then be my guest. It's a form of self-deprecation I can get by. But watching other people that probably don't suffer from the depiction of the illness baffles me, because, like, do you not understand how bad having this is? Some people actually die from this, which I don't think most people understand that most people die from this. They just see their quirky demon character crying, or at least having they actually have their quirky demon character going at night listening, making ducks, basically saying, take that, depression, and went, okay, this is how all depressed people are. No, it's not. You want to know how depressed people are? This is how they are. They complain 24/7, which, this is coming from me. This is my personal experience. Don't use it as all experience, but it's at least interchangeable. It's unpredictable. Depression's unpredictable. One day you could be fine as a fiddle. The next, you could just not feel like doing anything at all. You could just not cease to exist in the background. You feel like you don't want to do anything anymore, and you just don't want to do anything. Everything you do for someone, it's not usually because you want to do it. It's because you feel like you are obligated to do it. And if you can't do anything, you feel like a failure, because every now and then, you try to do something worth your time and effort. But, like, when you try to do it, nothing seems good for you, because you gotta have, like, some sort of... You have to understand that you have to, like... Everything to you has to be perfect. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of not being perfect enough? What's the point if everything is not, to your standards? you're honestly losing sleep over actual stuff that shouldn't be, that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be losing sleep over, such as losing your, losing losing something important to you, something you hold near and dear, which Lucifer seems to always have, I guess, but it's not like on the same levels as. It shouldn't be on the same levels as what depressed people lose. You tend to always over trivialize things. You tend to over trivialize stupid shit. You're over trivializing ruins relationships. You sleep in a lot. You constantly complain about stuff that shouldn't be complained about, even though you feel like you're worth nothing. Some people give you genuine good advice, but you take the good advice like shit because you just generally think everyone's against you when they're not. In reality, they're trying to help you, I guess. People realize that most of the time you're not worth the time and effort because you don't take their advice, which makes you feel even more of a burden, even though they try to claim that you're not a burden. You can't even get up in the mornings because what's the point of getting up in the mornings if you're gonna feel wholly worthless? Your depression's exceeded new heights once you realize how fucking boring you are in basics conversation. So you tend to actually, in order for you to feel something new, what you do is you actually try to at least in my opinion, you try to open yourself up to a possibility of new endings, such as giving yourself a new identity, pretending to be someone you're not. But the deep down, you know you're never going to be someone worth a damn. Your only existence is fucking to be treated as a joke in a cartoon that's meant to be for adults, but it's not really. Your existence is nothing more than imaginable suffering. Because what you're doing is essentially atoning for actions that you hold on so long and trivialize to the point that every year you feel like it's a painful reminder on how it's a commentary of your life that you're being judged by, and you stand by to this day because, quite frankly, you still believe that you could have done better than whatever you just did years prior. You still hold yourself to the same standards or the same embarrassments you felt regarding the shit that you done years ago, even though it was technically not your fault. You blame yourself for situations that shouldn't be your fault, but you still hold yourself to the same standards as something like that. People blame you for you literally take everything out of context and try to paint it as people basically blaming you when it's not true. Everyone who says something that it's like you paint an us versus them mentality when it comes to criticism, or at least very least when it comes to doing something other than wallowing in your self-pity. Sometimes there's times where you actually do be happy, such as when you finally gain a sense of self after ages of feeling like you're not worth it. You're finally your own person, but then you go back to depressed land where you're incapable of actually thinking about other things other than your depression. When somebody actually tries to help you, it's usually a mixture of falsified thanks, or at least a mixture of what I call false hope. Because quite frankly, people are so determined to fix you. that you're not worthy of fixing your mistakes. You're so convinced that whatever fucking bullshit and poison lies you were told about yourself is so true that anyone who tries to help you is met with either bullshit lies or even worse, you just push these people away. How the fuck do I do this? You constantly tend to over materialize or at least trivialize things that shouldn't be trivialized, such as the time when I actually over trivialized the fact that my friends probably are having fun without me. This is seen as very much schizophrenic behavior, at least to some people, even though I tell them that it's not. I just don't feel good. There's other times where people actually do think that you're mentally ill and try to get you the help you need. But the way they're going about it seems so fucking fake and rude that makes you wonder if they truly care about you. To be frank, if they do care about you, that means they actually go out of their way to actually support you. But don't put me on this one, because I'm actually just some random person on the internet sharing her thoughts. Just not actually a real therapist, just putting it out there. People who spend their time listening to your bullshit, your things that you call bullshit, are oftentimes the ones that are most loyal to you. They're oftentimes the most person that is willing to spend the most time with you. They're the people that actually love you for who you are. They're the same exact person that actually spends the most time vouching for you when you're in trouble. The same exact one that actually gets you out of said trouble. The one that actually sticks by you to the end of your days. This looks silly as shit. They're the same person that brings joy to your life, the very much reason of why you're still alive to this day. Without this person, you'll just feel nothing but sadness and joy. The way that VisiPop goes about it is that every person with this problem is just some depressed person. I feel like most of the issues that they face are just written how fanfiction writers, or at least what people would that think that what people with that issue has. So that's lovely. Most of the time, the writing drops the ball at certain issues, such as when it came to standing up for what's right. Most of the characters do it the most cringiest way, such as when Charlie shows. I'm sorry, not VisiPop. That's Charlie, real quick. Oh my fucking god, I fucking... Shit. So, like, I just don't understand what's the point of this shit possible. But, like... As I was saying, though. See you later.